Hi. So in this video, let's kind of like finish up our character. We have like all the functionality working. We've put that functionality into like a state pattern. Let's give them some animations. Let's actually use a mesh. To do that, I am going to use this website called Mixamo. If you guys are familiar with Mixamo, you should already know what it is. If not, Mixamo is a free tool. It is completely free by Adobe. All you need to do is make an account and log in. When you log in, there is this characters tab here where you can pick from a bunch of different characters. They have quite the few. If you find one that works with your style, I would highly suggest picking a character from Mixamo. If not, if you have your own character, you can upload them to Mixamo using this upload character button, and it'll like let you rig the or it'll like auto rig your character with the Mixamo rig. Make sure the rig is in T, or make sure your model is in T pose before you upload it. And there's a chance it could work. There's also a chance that things could go wrong and your animations like look weird, which for this class is fine. But if you were just going to use a mesh directly from Mixamo, that would just save you a lot of headache. So that's what I did. I just selected this mesh from Mixamo. Name is Remy. Just click on them, click use character, and they'll pop up in T-pose. You can hit download, and then just download them as an FBX as a T-pose. Now, once you've downloaded your character, don't switch them around. Just pick one and go with it. And then when you have that character selected, we can go to animations, and you can see all the animations that Mixamo has. You can click one, we can preview it, and it gives us a couple options. Let us just take, and each animation could have its own options, but really you'll find some of them have like very similar options. Like this is arm height. This one doesn't have arm height. It has posture, funniness. But the two you'll always see is overdrive, character arm space, and trim. Overdrive is just kind of like a multiplier for the speed of the animation. So if I bump it up, you can see like the animation's playing like much faster. Character arm space is just gonna like take their shoulders and pop it out, or their elbows, I should say, rather. So this is useful in some models where you find them clipping. It's a good way to like prevent that clipping. So and trim, finally, I wouldn't mess with these for looping animation specifically, which is pretty much what a lot of what we're going to be doing, because it's going to break the loop. But this is just going to like trim the animations. You can see this one is looping, I think. Yeah, this one's a looping animation, but if I trim it down, all of a sudden that loop is going to break. So if you have a non-looping animation, you can mess with the trim, but if you have a looping one, you might not want to mess with the trim just because it's going to break the looping. And finally, when you have an animation we like and we want to download it, this is the important part. We're going to hit download. You're going to make sure this skin, we download it without the skin. The animation kind of has two parts to it. There's a skeleton and the skin. The skeleton is like the skeleton underneath the model. We call that the rig usually. So it's the rig, and you can animate the rig. And the skin is the mesh around the rig that we see, like that we visually see. So in this case, this like Remy character that I'm seeing right here, that's the skin. We already downloaded the model in T-pose, so we don't really need to download the model over and over again with all our animations. So just download them without the skin. Lastly, for certain animations, and let me just find one here. Take the strafing, for example. No. Let me just find a walking animation. All right. Lastly, for any animations where the character moves, like they physically move, they're not just like in place. You can see like here the character is moving along the space. We don't want that. Our code does all the movement. So if our character's animation is moving on top of our code, it's going to look really weird. So when we download these animations, make sure in place is checked. That way you can see the animations is playing and our players, or the characters in place. And this is very important for us because otherwise it's going to look weird. So you always got to make sure in place is checked. Okay, so what are the animations I'm going to need? My character can walk, they can sprint, they can jump, and they can dash. So I'm going to need animations for that. When it comes to walking, you can pick whichever ones you like. So like, this walking one animation I think is fine. I would just download it in place without the skin. We also need a walk left and right because when you hold A and D, our character is going to walk left and right. So, download something like this left strafe walking, again, in place, download without skin. And there's also right strafe walking. Again, in place, download without skin. We don't need a backwards walking because if we hold S, our player is just going to face that direction and walk, towards us. So they can just walk forwards and just look towards the camera. So we just need walk left, and walk right. There's also sprinting. So I think it would be sprint. Right, there's sprint left. Sprint right, and should be another sprint forward, but I believe if you search run, there should be running animations as well. So things like run forward. I know in these it looks like they're holding a weapon, but you'll find other ones like this, where it's just a normal run, and you could always search run right and see what Mixamo has. Right strafe. I think this was a good one too. There's right strafe and left strafe. And finally, we also need a jump animation. We don't want one where the character begins a jump. We just want one where they jump immediately. They're jumping backwards in this one. So look through and find one which you think works. With our jumping animation specifically, we want it to be snappy for our kind of game. Again, one issue with using Mixamo is we don't get to make the animations exactly as we want them for our game. We kind of have to use what they have here. So, for example, if I was picking one of these jump animations and I can see some of them have that starting frame, like that one, you can see it starting. We could shorten that if you want, so that the start happens quicker. Obviously, if you do too much, it's going to just start in the air, but you can trim it so the starting happens. Same thing with this kind of jumping animation, not this one. With this one, we could trim it so it starts a little bit faster. And the last one we need is once we jump and we're in the air, we want our character, when they're moving back downwards from the air, we want them to be falling, and we'll use a different animation for that. So this falling idle, I think this one's perfect. So when they're in the air moving downwards, we'll have this falling idle. So in the end, and I have all my animations downloaded here, what you need is the FBX file. In this case, I downloaded it initially. It was called remy.fbx. I have a falling idle, jump, left strafe, walking. This left strafe is the running left strafe, right strafe, walking, right strafe, running forwards, walking. And the last one is dash, which we didn't talk about. So unfortunately, there is no dash animation here. So what I have done for this, I think I searched up run, and there was an animation here. Yep, this one, the ninja run kind of thing. And all I did here was I just trimmed it down so it was one frame. When you do this, for some reason the preview doesn't load, but you can still download it. So that's all I have done here. My dash animation is just this ninja run kind of animation, trimmed down to one frame. So it's just going to be a static one for this game because Mixamo unfortunately doesn't have a dash animation. You could make it a few frames and have them kind of wig out like that. Both are fine, depends on what you choose. In fact, you could do this and give it a visual effect if you choose, but for what I'm doing, I'm just going to make it one frame. You're not going to be able to see a preview here, though. So once we have everything ready, what we're going to do is to start, I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call it models. And I'm going to start by just importing the base mesh in here. When I pull this base mesh out, it is going to be not textured. Everything's going to be white. So what we need to do first is we need to get the materials and the textures out of this mesh. And so to do that, we click on the model. We go over to the inspector panel. Click on materials. And we first want to extract the textures. So under textures, there's extract textures, and next to materials, there's extract materials. Well, first we want to extract the textures. I'll make a new folder for it. Textures. And I'll make another folder in that called Remy, because it's going to be the textures for this character. So let's do that. And there you go. Once you extract the textures, it's just going to show up here. Once you have extracted the textures, if you would like to have the materials as well, in case you want to make like some edits to the materials, you might really not need to do this. But if you did, now it's safe to extract the materials. If you did it the opposite way, it just tends to not work correctly. So just make sure we extract the textures. And there you go. Now we have a character that is, modeled, and they're in T-pose for now. So I'll start with the very low-hanging fruit part. I'm just going to replace my capsule with this model. So let's delete the capsule. I'm going to take Remy, make them a child of the player, and then make sure that we center them at 0, 0, 0. So one issue here is that our capsule center is the actual center, but the center of our character, like the pivot point, is at the feet. So by default, they're just going to start, halfway up there. And so we're just going to move them so they're in position. So let's try 0.7. And I think that looks about good. They look grounded to me. If I click here, I can see they're pretty grounded. The other issue is the character is just too big. One nice thing about the character actually being having their pivot point in the feet is that as I scale it, it scales from the foot, so I don't have to worry about moving them again, which is convenient. So I think a scale like that works, maybe just a little bigger, so 0.4. Okay, something like that. Every character is going to have a different scale, so you're going to have to kind of play around with it. But, now we have our character in there. If I was to play this, instead of having the cylinder, we have a T-pose character, which is pretty cool. Next, let's prep the animations. So I'm going to just create a new folder, call it animations. And I'm going to put all of the animations in here. So let's find the animations folder. Gonna drag everything. That's not the main model. Give my Unity a second to load. And okay, so now in Unity, models are attached to different skeletons. So we have to assign our model to a specific type of skeleton. This is the same in Unreal. This is the same in Unity. In Unity, these skeletal rigs are called avatars. So I'm going to select my base model, the Remy model that we got, go into rig, and there you can see avatar definition. It says no avatar. I'm going to change that to create from this model. I'm also going to change this animation type generic to humanoid. And then just hit apply. And what that's going to do, if I click this little fold out here, is somewhere along the line of all these things, you can see Remy avatar. So it's made a little avatar out of this character. This is now a skeletal rig that we can associate with other animations. I'm going to go back to all my other animations, just select them, and under rig, change them to humanoid, And the avatar definition, we're going to change it to copy from other avatar. What is the source? Let's click this button, and we have a Remy avatar, so we can just apply that. And there you go. Now when I click on each of these, it says Remy avatar. So we've just associated our animations with the Remy avatar. And you can see that when, I click on one of the animations, go to the animation tab, and just pull up the preview. Now, there's my character there. Okay, next, just a little bit of kind of setup with these animations before we actually start using them. When I click on any of these, you can see the animation. So under the animation tab, the name of it, where this little triangle is all, they're all going to be Mixamo.com. So, just to keep our sanity, let's rename them now so that we don't have trouble later. And so this one is Dash. I'm just going to rename it to Dash. And then make sure you scroll down and hit apply so it saves. Same thing. I'm just going to do that for every single animation. You could also, when you click out of it, it's just going to tell you, unsaved changes detected. You can hit save as well. Or you could go down there and hit apply. So I'm just going to do that to all my animations real quick. I'm just going to rename them. And once you've renamed them all, the last little bit we just need to do is set the animations that need to loop to loop. So my dash animation, I want it to loop, although really for the dashing, it doesn't matter. It's just one frame. Make sure we save it. Our falling animation, yes, that's going to loop. Jump, well, jump doesn't need to loop. We're just going to play the jump once and immediately probably transition to falling. Left strafe needs to loop. Right strafe, pretty much every single animation needs to loop, but we can't edit them all together. So you're just going to have to go by individually and just set them to looping. You can see looping. It's like right under where this little length timeline is. It says loop time. Just check that on. Okay, and I think that's all the initial setup. We have our character in here. We have all the animations. We know that this animation is associated with our character's avatar because when I go into the animation preview, I see it there. And now we are ready to actually set the animations up. But I think I'm going to cut this video here and I'll just start another video and pick off from there. So thank you guys for watching.